Here we are in the year of our Lord, ugh, 2025, and somehow, some way, the conversation around professional wrestling circles back to Vincent Kennedy McMahon. Now look, here are some undeniable, not even truths, but just flat out facts when it comes to Vince McMahon. He is the most successful promoter in the history of the wrestling business by galaxies, right? Like, it's just, and when I say like these are indisputable facts, like, don't even try to argue them. They're just, you can't, right? He is the most successful promoter in the history of professional wrestling. He's the greatest heel in professional wrestling history. And again, by a country mile. Like, not even close. If you want to sit there and say, this guy or that guy was the biggest heel, come the fuck on. For both on-screen character, behind the scenes, businessman, there is only one greatest heel in professional wrestling history. When you think about greatest villain, Mount Rushmore in professional wrestling, the faces on there are Vince McMahon, Vince McMahon, Vince McMahon, and Vince McMahon. There is nobody else. It's his fucking mountain. I also say, it is an indisputable fact, that everybody that points to the Attitude Era and the Monday Night Wars, they'll argue about who the biggest star of that era was. The biggest and most important star of that era was Vince McMahon. Everything in that time period, that hot period in wrestling history, ultimately revolved around Vince McMahon. You could think differently here, but not every differing opinion is valid, and that would be an example of an invalid opinion. So, you know, it's not a surprise, like, when you talk about Vince McMahon, it just carries a different weight, a different cachet, whatever the hell you want to put around it. But here we are in 2025, talking about an almost 80-year-old man who I think now has formally been disgraced, at least to a certain degree, right? Although I dispute just how much he would be disgraced, because if he came back and appeared on Raw or SmackDown and that music hit saying no chance in hell, he would get one of the biggest pops of the night, and meaningful, sustained pops. Like, it's just a reflection of the presence of the man, right? I can't imagine he walks into an arena and the crowd just overwhelmingly boos him. He's not Hogan. He's not Hogan. So, here we are. And you're seeing reports and conversations. I think Conrad Thompson and Eric Bischoff were talking about this on their podcast, but other people talking about it. And to the point where you have like Fox and other sources are denying the rumors that Vince McMahon is trying to start another wrestling company. The motherfucker is almost 80 years old. What more do you need to do, dude? Like, go the fuck away. You are in your last remaining years. Have you not made enough fucking money? Have you not ruined enough fucking people's lives? Have you not caused enough fucking misery yet? Don't you get tired of this shit? Like, seriously, what the hell would be the appeal at this point? Because you want to compete, because you want to get back at wrestling, because you want to flex your shit and say that you could do it again? Why? You've made your fortune. You made a killing with selling the company to Endeavor. Like, why would you need this? Why would you want this? And here's the thing, you could talk about, like, it's crazy rumor and speculation and people trolling and shit. Somewhat perhaps, but typically where there's smoke, there's at least a little bit of a fire. Doesn't this strike you as absolutely positively the very type of thing that an obsessed individual like Vince McMahon would do? It does. And I can't fathom for the life of me. Why? What's the appeal here? You're going to spend your last remaining few fleeting years on this planet dealing with professional wrestling and trying to invest in something and build something. And even if you say it's not wrestling, it's some other form of entertainment, like why? Because you need something to do? Then go golf. Go buy islands. Build a paradise for yourself. Find young women that you could be the sugar daddy to and that you don't have to intertwine like office politics with. Although it seems like he's always gotten off on that power dynamic. And what's even more astounding to me is the fact that Vince McMahon talking about doing this means that somebody's got to be interested in doing business with him at this stage. Why? Like, it's such a fundamental question you so often have to ask. Why? Why would you want to get into business with this man at this stage of life where literally any day you could find out he passes away from natural causes? And I'm not trying to be too morbid here, but like, you're at that point in time, right? He's exceeded average male life expectancy in this country. It's an inevitability. I just don't get this one. And maybe that's where I'm not a Vince McMahon. I can't understand that mindset and that mentality. But damn it, dude, like you're a fucking grandpa. Like, don't you have better shit to do with your time? And frankly, don't all of us have better things to do than worry about yet another wrestling company? You could argue the marketplace is already oversaturated as it is. You've got WWE, you've got AEW, you've got TNA, you've got New Japan, you've got GCW, you've got a lot of options. You've probably got too damn much. Like, does wrestling really have that big of a fan base on a consistent enough basis where it can sustain this? And you want to add another thing into the fold? Is this just like whole chaos theory? You just want to come into the mix and fuck everything up? Like, what's Vince going to do? His first hire of an executive is going to be Kevin Dunn? Those guys had a time and place, but it is not now. I can't imagine wanting to be bothered with such a business that Vince for years loathed that he had to be involved with. It's such a weird thing, right? He both loved it so much and yet hated it at the same time. And you say, well, what do you mean? Well, why do you think he was always making the push to not call it wrestling and instead call it sports entertainment? He hated the very thing that he loved. He hated the thing that made him a success. Like, it's ridiculous. Be proud of it. Don't be ashamed of it. But yet and still, as much as he's been ashamed of this shit over the fucking decades, he could possibly want to start up another company? Like, fuck out of here. And even if this were to happen, which I don't believe, I think it's all bullshit. But even if it was to happen, why would anybody want to be bothered at this point? Why would any talent want to work there? Money? Okay, and then what? Fans, why would you want to watch this shit? Morbid curiosity? Like, I don't fucking get it. We are at a place in time now, frankly, where the next time we need to talk about Vince McMahon should be when he passes away, where we try to take a holistic look back at his life, career, and legacy and make heads or tails of it and talk about what does it truly represent and what does it mean. In this period of time, we should not be talking about an almost 80-year-old disgraced billionaire wanting to open up another venture into the business that he claims he hates so much, but he sure loves whenever he needs the fucking money. We have better things to do. And the answer is probably not, because even the mere thought of this, the rumor of this has people buzzing. It's got me doing a video about it. And again, it just speaks to the gravity of the man. There are certain things that are undeniable. Death, taxes, and Vince McMahon being the biggest figure by galaxies in the history of professional wrestling. I just hope that this is him getting bored and that it's a phase that he's going through at the end of his life and he will get over it, lose interest, and go the fuck away. We would be so much better off if that's exactly what he did. And like I said, we don't really have to talk about him again until he passes away. That would be ideal.